Hi. Whenever in the year you are watching this, today is a great day to thank your donors. And we're going to talk a little bit about how you can do that and what some of the best practices are in stewarding your donors. My name is Will Warren. I am a senior revenue growth specialist at the News Revenue Hub. We are a nonprofit that work with newsrooms to help them grow their audiences and to run their membership or fundraising programs. I work with, at this point, dozens of newsrooms, big and small, to help them run their membership programs. And prior to that, I was at a local paper in DC, and I started and ran their membership program as well. So I'm really passionate about this topic. And in fact, I want to make the case for why you should steward your donors before we get into the how of doing it. First, I just believe it's the right thing to do. If people are taking time out of their day and money out of their wallet to support you, I think it's just incumbent on you to thank them and thank them profusely. There's also a business case for this as well. Stewardship drives renewals and it drives revenue. Your conversion rate, so that's the people of the ratio of donors to your like newsletter list size, might be in the neighborhood of like 3 to 10%, which is great. But your renewal rate, the number of donors who gave last year, who are giving this year as well, might be in the neighborhood of 60 or 70 or even more percent. So it's much, much easier to renew an existing donor than it is to recruit a new one. And so for that reason, this is a really important part of your business practice as well. And even if your donors are renewing, but they're not like increasing their giving, they can drive engagement in other ways. They can become advocates for you and your work in the community. They can help get the word out when you're fundraising. They can volunteer at events. And those are all really powerful ways that your donors can impact your work and further your mission, but only if you have a relationship with them and are able to ask them to do it. I think we're all familiar with the funnel. And if you leave with nothing else today, it's that you should, in my opinion, consider a fourth step of the funnel as stewardship. And you should put as much time and thought and effort into it as the preceding three steps. So now we're going to talk about what stewardship looks like in practice. And you may already have an idea of what stewardship is. And in my experience, sometimes these ideas can be sort of intimidating. People immediately go to things like in-person meetings with donors or a banquet to thank them at the end of the year or a gala. And while those are all extremely valuable and impactful ways to thank your donors, I want to talk through and make the case that you have lots and lots of touch points with donors and therefore lots and lots of opportunities to thank them and develop your relationship with them, and that those opportunities exist along a wide spectrum of cost, of effort, and impact. And so I believe that there is an effective stewardship model that fits every newsroom of every size. And we'll talk about all of these options in the coming slides. But you can really think about any time that you have an interaction with the donor, either because they've just made a gift, because you're doing something like sending them a members only newsletter or a survey, or because they're doing something like they're coming to an event that you're hosting, or they're just reading your newsletter or your articles. Any time that you're interacting with donors is an opportunity to thank and steward them. So one thing that I think I can say with confidence that every single newsroom is doing is that you're sending a receipt out when folks make a gift. And oftentimes this will include transactional information, it'll include your tax ID, but this is a place where you can also thank them and do a little bit more stewardship than just saying, hey, we charged your credit card. You can see this example here that the newsroom is shaping my relationship to their work and uh, helping me understand the impact of this gift. They say, we hope you take great pride in the impact of your gift. So they're going a little bit further at this touch point that exists for every single donor. You can take this a step further by having an automation, like you might have a welcome series for new newsletter subscribers. You can create a welcome series for new donors there where you continue to thank them and share additional information about your mission and the impact of their gift on your mission that, you know, it should exist outside the context of just a receipt where you only have so much space to convey your gratitude and to help them understand how they're impacting your work. Moving up the scale of impact and effort, You can think about physical mail. This could be something like an annual report you're sending or a letter. You could send handwritten notes. And some organizations will even make phone calls to donors after they make a donation. But a donation is an extremely good time to thank your donors because they have just given you their money. And it's a very natural touch point to start to develop that relationship and to show your thanks. A lot of newsrooms also share donors only content in some way, shape, or form. This is an opportunity to thank donors, to share news about your organization, to tell your story, and to help them understand the essential role that they play in making that story a success. I love Capital B's members only newsletter, so I'll shout that one out. But lots and lots of newsrooms do this, and you might see that they're doing it on a monthly or even more frequently basis. And I would say that the important thing is to do this at a cadence that works for you. As you can tell, I'm really passionate about thanking your donors, and I think you should do it frequently. But I would say that you should do it at a cadence where you'll actually be able to get it done, not what you think would ideally be perfect. So if that's every other month or once a quarter, I think it's more important to talk to your donors in this way than it is to do it at some sort of like magical frequency that is the best. We also talked about the fact that your donors are readers. They subscribe to your newsletters and read them. They visit your website and read them. They might pick up your print product and read it if you have one. And so these are all touch points with your donors. To the extent that your systems allow it, if you are able to identify your donors in your email service provider, you can show them a special thank you message, as we see the Nevada Independent is doing here, or you can at the very least spare them some donation requests. And the same thing could apply on your CMS as well. If it allows you to identify who your donors are, you can thank them or at least spare them some donation appeals. When it comes to physical goods, this is something people ask about a lot, and they can be a really nice way to thank donors. So this is things like sending a logo, a logo sticker or a mug or a tote bag. But as someone who used to mail out the tote bags for a newsroom's membership program, it's really important to be mindful of the costs and the burden of fulfillment as well. You have to procure the goods and send them out. Someone has to have space for them in their house or in the office. And in general, we've seen a decreasing interest when we survey newsroom audiences in these types of benefits. So while they can be impactful, I think it's important to choose the type of benefit and the tier or like the donation threshold at which you're delivering it very carefully to make sure that it's a good fit for your organization if you want to choose to do this at all. Hopefully, I'm impressing upon you that there are a lot of different ways, and you can see even here in Signal Cleveland's example that there are a lot of ways that they're thanking their donors that are not limited to swag. Events are another opportunity to thank donors. This could be in the form of a members only event or an event that you're doing specifically for members and to thank them, as is the case in this example we see here, where they have a monthly virtual coffee with members of the staff. But it could be that this is just an event that you're already doing and you're looking for an opportunity to thank donors within the context of that event. You could make sort of like a public announcement thanking your donors. You could give them drink tickets, early access to the event, a VIP meetup before or after. Or maybe it's as simple as when they're checking in, you know who the donors are, and you make sure to thank them when they are either coming into the waiting room or coming into the physical space. But regardless, these are really valuable touch points. They're definitely more work, but they can be really impactful ways to thank donors. And if you're already doing events, just look for ways to thank your donors within the existing events that you're already doing. And the final thing that's more of you doing something proactive rather than your donors coming to you or interacting with you is that you can survey them. This helps you understand what they care about, and we'll talk about why that's important in a second, but it also shows that you're listening. And when you act on the information that they share with you, it helps them understand the impact that they have on your mission and organization. And for this reason, we recommend that newsrooms are surveying their entire audiences, including their donors, at least once a year so that they're able to learn and create that feedback loop. A lot of folks have questions about major donors or mid-level donors. And everything philosophically that we've been talking about, the importance of thanking them and finding ways to do that, holds true for major donors. But this might be a place where it makes a little more sense to focus some of your one to one or one to few efforts. These are definitionally folks who are contributing a lot to your organization. And so it might be more effective, and the return on investment might be greater to do those things like in-person meetings, intimate dinners, VIP receptions, and things like that with this group of people, because they are contributing more. And these are also opportunities to learn about them as people and what is motivating them to give, because that will then help you help them see how their motivations and values align with the work that you're doing, and help them support you more. So, in closing, a few useful tips. Like I said, when in surveying, it's really important to know your donors, both from a technological perspective, who they are, so that you can thank them in the many ways we've been discussing, but also to know what they care about and to be able to speak to them effectively. And this is not unique to stewardship, but I would really, really highly recommend that you make a plan for your stewardship and that you assign a person to own each step of that plan. This is really hard to do on an ad hoc basis, to just sort of like remember to thank donors. It's much, much better if for every event you have a practice of sending out an email 24 hours in advance to donors, giving them early access to the event, or you have it as a course of practice that you send a handwritten note after within 24 hours of every gift is made, and you know exactly who's going to do that. Those are the ways that it's much, much, much more successful to run an effective stewardship program. So with that, I will leave you to think about which ideas you want to enact from this and to create a plan to do it. And I wish you good luck in the coming year for NewsMatch, and good luck in thanking your donors for supporting your work as well.